Всем добрый день.
Hello everyone. Let us begin the next session. It will take 2 hours from now. Thanks for this opportunity to talk to all of you. And before introducing our experts, I would like to speak in a couple of words about the idea that we put into our session. Our colleagues will help us in switching on the sound because we will need it for a short video in 1 hour from now. So please don't pay attention to that. Dear friends, we have been concentrating in several sessions of this conference on the importance of showing to the IT managers what is information security means specifically to him or her, to the head of the company, and what did we face as representatives of the client and representatives of vendors. An important moment, an important topic of our session is that there are not those who are good or bad in using their security. There are some people who did have some incidents and those who didn't have those incidents. So our current 2-hour discussion will be around a number of blocks or sections. And in the beginning, I would like to tell you that we have invited clients from energy sector companies, and I would like to give floor to them so that they will show the most vulnerable or the most important business area. And from the side of finances, we also are going to have some expert available. But on the other side, on the side of vendors, we have invited colleagues both from foreign companies and from Russian companies as well. To us, in addition to the fact that we want to say that there are challenges you know nothing about, but we would like to show, in addition to that, some combination of the information provided in this conference by those who provide IS solutions, information security solutions, and those who try to break those solutions, the state and clients. And this dialogue we are participating is very important to us, and today we'll try to formulate the main trends and recommendations for all of us. Right now I would like to give floor to my colleagues to introduce themselves, but before I will read my notes, and I would like to introduce on the side of clients we have Roman Popov, the head of information security in Ion Russia. If you can just lift your hand. Thank you. Golubtsov Sergey, deputy director in the Center IT. Moek. On the side of Moek, we are having Andrei Gribenkin, the head of information security department, and I would like to say that we have invited our colleagues to come from two sides, as IT and information security side. And we believe that you can ask questions in both of these entities and you will get answers from both sides, both client and information security. Then we are waiting for Denis Rybchukov. He will approach a little bit later, the head of the group FSK ES. Then I represent financial sector, Alexei Katrich. And right now I would like to switch to our vendors. Andrei Novik of Positive Technologies, Andrei Ivanov, Microsoft, and Ruslan Ivanov, Cisco. So right now I would like to give 1 minute to each one of you to introduce yourself, to say about your experience as experts, and then I would like to define a rule with your permission. Questions are welcomed. We will give 30 seconds for a question. If there will be a very extended question, then we'll have to stop you and we'll ask you to reformulate questions. So please ask questions, lift your hands alongside our speeches, our presentations. So we're not going to have a Q&A session afterwards. So it's going to be in the course. Then after 1 minute presentation, in the end we're going to tell you, and we'll give the floor to every expert to give recommendations which each one of us could leave for ourselves and for you as main conclusions, so-called elevator talk within 1 minute. So, I would like to give floor to Andrei Ivanov, so you can briefly tell about yourself, your experience, and after general presentation, I will give you general agenda, and then we are going to begin our session. Thank you very much. I'm Andrei Ivanov, a new participant of this discussion, because my colleague Jan Novitz had to participate, so I'm replacing him. A couple of words about myself. As many people in the industry, I've started as a technological expert. Right now, more business-oriented specialist. My profile education is in the area of information security. I worked in a big developer, Russian integration company, big integrator, and right now I work with vendor in Microsoft. I'm responsible for cloud security and for client communications about this topic, mostly with information security guys. Thank you. Thank you. Andrei? Hello, dear colleagues. Can you hear me? My name is Andrei Grebionkin. I'm the head of information security department Palmaec, and in I've started in 95 back then, working in information security area. Then I went to security, pure security, and right now, after our company was acquired by a group of companies, Gazprom, we did have a question of informational security, because previously this company used to belong to the government of Moscow, and they didn't care about this problem. But in recent 2 years, we have introduced information security complex system, which has covered main problems and threats against our users and against our systems. So more detailed answers I will give you if you will have any questions. Thank you very much. Sergey, floor is yours. Hello, Sergey Golubtsov. I've started working in this space since '93. I've started in navigation systems for military. Then I went into the informational technologies, starting my own internet saloon, and then providing telecom services to our citizens. Then I moved to industrial counter, starting from oil companies more than 10 years, and then in energy company in Palmaec. In this period of time, I was able to try to work in infrastructure, everything, starting from construction of infrastructure, from building small offices, big networks, size like Russian Federation, let's say, both for retail and corporate. We've been equipping it together with my colleagues with all sorts of equipment, through the centralized data centers, distributed data centers, several thousands of kilometers. Then they've been connecting them with general systematic software. We've been connecting to the applied level. This was done jointly in all my experience. Me personally, and I follow the policy, always follow the IT security requirements in all of its aspects. And in recent 10 years, my main thesis: we are integral part of security. We depend from them like they depend on us. Right now I'm the deputy director of the Center of IT Technologies is Palmaec. It's a big federal company located in Moscow, in a stage of restructuring and reorganization and technical re-equipment. So in some sense, Andrei puts sticks in my wheels, but we do accept it, we discuss it, we come to a common denominator and opinions. Some things do work, some things don't work. We have a lot of questions from business, and I can share my own experience about that. I can answer your questions and tell you how can we work in this area, how can we manage these problems, how can we develop this area. Thank you very much. Roman, the floor is yours. Roman Popov, the head of the information security department in ION Russia. It's the energy sector company, a generating company. 20 years in IT, 10 years in information security, 1 year in APCS, Automatic Process Control Systems. I left the position of head of the administration department. We had a large distributed networks previously. In information security, many years I've been normal information security manager, been introducing ERPs and a lot of other fashionable solutions Several years ago, I paid attention to the fact that I work in an industrial company. So I went into automatic process control systems. So while the company is a part of international concern, German concern, so that's why I have a wonderful opportunity to compare what is done there and what is done here. Well, hello, my name is Ruslan Ivanov. I'm a systematic engineer consultant in the company Cisco. Perhaps it's more common thing to see me in this building when I speak in the informational security from the side of Cisco. And those of you who are involved in networks, they've seen me. In Cisco, I'm responsible for solutions in the area of information security. And I work with companies like Eurocement, our partner Lanit. In Cisco, I'm involved also and participate in the development of our products as an expert technology advisory group, and I'm involved in consulting my colleagues for the development of our firewalls of the next generation, some architectural things. I have an experience of building big territorially distributed networks of a federal level, safe data centers, etc. Thank you. Andrei, dear colleagues, welcome. My name is Andrei Novikov from the company Positive Technologies. I'm a key client manager in CIS countries, and I do have 10 years of experience of working in the information security area. I've started in a role of technical expert and engineer. Right now, I'm involved in sales and development of our business. Thank you very much. My name is Alexey Katrich. Right now I work in TechnoServe Consulting Company. Before moving to consulting, 20 years I've been working in the financial industry, 7 times CIO and operational director in different banks. In financial industry, banks, well, the last bank for me, my final position was Sberbank. I was responsible for the development of informational technologies, and right now my responsibilities selling to the financial market. And with the company Positive Technologies, we have long relations with the Trust Bank and other banks where I was implementing these solutions. So I've replied to the opportunity to participate and moderate this session, and as an expert in the financial industry as well. So let's begin our conversation. In the beginning, can you tell me, can you show your hands, those who are heads on the side of clients, who represent clients? Can you lift your hands? Who represent vendors, service vendors? Okay, and remaining colleagues who've been in a neutral position, perhaps you're not clients, not vendors, but you are just experts, right? Okay then. We have 2 microphones. I do hope these microphones are operational, and we have sound everywhere. So 5 areas in our discussion will be covered, and in 1 hour and a half we'll try to cover them. Let's begin with the ecosystem of our business. And for each of our areas, energy, finances, what new technologies give us, like IoT, Internet of Things, what new users we see out there, for example, data management specialists, data mining specialists, which objectives and tasks are new in our areas of work, and new business models which bring new risks to information technologies are arising. And I will begin from my side, from finances. Today, financial industry is concentrated on 3 main pillars. First of all, it's transferring banks into format banking as a platform, when banks have understood that they were too late in the development of financial technologies, and right now banks have to provide services through IP access to fintech companies, and they have to use themselves as a platform. So there's a powerful integration that's going now with social networks, with external companies, which brings new complexities and challenges from the point of view of information security. Second topic is an active development in our country, especially topic of a blockchain, replacement of formal positions which can be replaced by open context identifications, open registries, and I'm confident that in the middle of this year there will be now number of statements from the central bank and from the community, but which functionality will actively be transferred to this technology by the end of the year. Next one is a transfer to cloud. IT and utility services are transferred into the cloud services infrastructure. From the point of view of import replacement, this becomes a significant topic. And in this part, big part is related with data management, which is the main resource of every financial institution. Right now there is a separate industry around data. Mostly this information stays within banks, but it brings new roles to existence and how to work with data, and data becomes competitive advantage of every bank. So the question of data transfer to cloud or keeping it on premises, this is a question which is widely discussed in our community. I also would like to give floor right now to Roman. Roman, can you give us a comment? What are the main challenges in your industry, both global and local, current ones, which bring new requirements to information security? Well, I have mentioned that about 2 years ago I moved to a PCS, automatic process control system, and the sphere of my interests have been changed. So I paid attention to this. Thank you very much to Hardnut for, thanks to our geopolitics, which is changing constantly. Business have paid attention to the fact that there are real challenges which previously we didn't pay attention to. Thanks to Iran, to Stuxnet, and other things for all these things. And definitely, all this, what is happening around us, has brought a full big wave of changes, from the questions of national security all the way to the question of general human security and the production and sustainability of business processes as well. And the main trend today in the industry, in the energy sector, is providing security of production operations. Well, briefly, that's all. In the next 5 years, if you will try to answer that your sector is very close and there will be additional questions, well, it's very close to us. Let's say we have, this is an energy sector, and we can divide it. There are companies which are manufacturing, like for example, previous work was in oil industry, producing companies. Those companies are more internalized. They try to achieve certain efficiencies by directing their retail sector, like fueling stations. We all drive cars, we all want to buy something, and this is just a chilled cash office, finished product. Then they have processing plants, oil processing plants. They have their own clientele, and they have totally different topics. I can describe them to you, and you will understand general trends. And then it's less retail network, but more those you have to work outside of the market and B2B level. And it's more in the area of automatic process control and security. And we are concentrating on reducing costs and new approaches in all these areas. And there are trends, new security trends, because we need to effectively do something in the cloud. We have to store this information somewhere. We have to transfer this information and defend it and provide access to this information remote for thousands of kilometers. So we have to be in the trend on production of those resources. Then there are plans who should work with the clients and should provide some public spaces. And then we have to provide access not only internal for the employees, but also we have to defend automatic process control systems APCSs, and protect and defend users and information which comes to our internal space, internal world. And fueling stations are a totally different situation, an example of when everything works for the end users, and we should give him maximum information about processing personal data. We should give end user some preferences, providing him with various bonuses, and all these programs are related to users, and that's it. And the trend is selling the gasoline should pay back to the retail network, which tries to sell a lot of candies and all other products in order not to relay all this cost on this liter of gasoline. Right now I work with Andrei in a company which is a mega public, and we live in apartments, and we basically, our company, we provide services in the area of delivering hot water and heating. And it's not just users that we're connected to, but we have a complete settlement processes. We have federal platforms on the basis of which we have to legislatively publish our data, clear this data, manage this data. Something should be provided, something shouldn't be. Their informational field comes to us. It's not that we're just publishing somebody and make the end user to work in our informational field with our resources. And they're asking us to publish in the informational field of the consumer our own data. In other words, we have to transfer the informational field inside of our company, like regulatory information or some other one, some address, reference books, and on the other side, we are becoming part of their operations. They don't allow us, but we reinforce it, and we became very public. We have to reorganize ourselves. We have to reorganize personal accounts of users. It's like all operators of mobile networks. And when we develop our infrastructure and IT and information security, we start thinking about how in principle can we look at this, because we use different approaches. We don't just build something, but we are thinking about how can this be built so that somebody would receive something there. We change our approaches to the information security, to security information. And current legislations are limiting us. We're thinking about building new data centers, telecommunication networks. We're thinking about building new information systems, and the trend is following. We have a lot of publicity around us, and security doesn't give you full solutions to provide complete security. So right now we're still searching for those solutions. Thank you very much, Sergey. So the question to Andrei, which are the key priorities with the consideration of the strategies that Sergey has called in information security? Data protection, access to creation of new ways of cooperation with social networks. What is the main priority for you by the end of this year? Yeah, Andrei will be the best one to answer this question. I will get away from the question for a couple of minutes and I will correct it, because it's an IT strategy but not information security strategy, because information security lives in an energy company. According to federal laws, most of our objects are categorized, so the requirements under physical protection are defined by the federal legislation, and we have to follow this legislation. In a number of cases, we cannot provide access to people, no matter how our IT guys want to get access and become public. We have certain limitations that we cannot get around. That's why we invent solutions how to divide technological processes and production processes, because any company in the energy sector is divided into two parts. The first part is the production itself, and the second one is administrative and financial activities, in which all the events are held, all the employees are working, new projects are run, and there's a production. So it's the APCS complex with certain communication channel, data protection laws are applied when data is transferred from one network to another. There are requirements on physical separation of these assets so that there wouldn't be over crossing, and the user from one working place wouldn't fail one power plant or something else. So in our strategy, if my colleagues would be interested, I can tell you which solution has been implemented in our company. We mostly have covered all main threats which are available and defined by the legislation. and we have excluded participation of users and administrators in forming users and providing access. So we got rid of the cornerstone when administrator could appoint rights to anybody, to a user that we don't need, for example, and we have means of control to check whether the rights were appointed to a certain time to somebody and why they were appointed. So we can clear this question in every moment of time. In the framework of investigation, we can get any information, but we don't stop our colleagues from development of new technologies which are needed for all their solutions. We put our own limitations, possibly. In a number of cases, we are going for some compromises, but in most of the cases, we do have a law, and we have also criminal responsibility, criminal liability. Let's go into, thank you very much for the experts in the industry, but right now I would like to ask you to go back to what are the main challenges that you see today, and Sergey have called several of those, that this is a public data, and I also work with them. So can you tell us about those challenges, 2-3 bullet points, so that we would understand them and then would go to the next session. Sergey, what are the main challenges to you as a client, and what do you ask Information Security Department to fix? To publish data for the end users, or open interfaces for the exchange of internal information like reporting or federal requests or any other external requests. The second challenge, due to the fact that we constantly, well, any energy company, because it's a tariff building company, for example, like gasoline has a certain cost, and we constantly have a pressure on reducing our own costs. So it leads us to the situation that we have to review the consolidation of our computational resources and informational resources, and on the other side, provide it to everybody. So information security moves in the direction to make it cheaper, but make it protected, to have it centralized, and at the same time, don't dilute it. So it's enlargement of cloud technologies, but not only in the area of infrastructure, but also in the software products. How the data and cloud technologies, and please speak closer to the microphone because I see in the back rows people can't hear us. So Roman, there was another comment when we've discussed it. What is the most painful problem in the nearest future? Well, I will move aside. I'm disappointed in recent days when I hear from the words, from the mouth of information security guys, that their main objective is to protect data. Well, my main information and the main train is to forget the word confidentiality and remember two other words. Forget the word confidentiality, and there are two words: integrity and accessibility, availability. For some reason, I was an IT guy. For the IT guy, information security is viruses and data theft. But new trends, penetration of new technologies in the industry, makes us paying attention to integrity and availability. Okay, thank you. Ruslan Ivanov, can you tell us, please, 2-3 bullet points which you think being key challenges that you see new on the market? Well, I completely agree with my colleague about openness of the information. It's a challenge to many companies, including public companies and companies which have to work with public data and with end users as well, with you, me, anybody else. Therefore, openness leads us to the situation that companies have to make things which are not specific for them, especially energy companies. They are more closed companies than open companies. So this leads us to the situation that companies have to review their strategies, information security strategy, which as it was properly mentioned, brings them in conflict with the legislation. Then they also have lack of resources in the companies, and very often they have to use cloud technologies, which is a gray area in our legislation because it's not always clear when you can use cloud data and when you cannot use those data. And another important topic is user mobility. Very big number of people and employees of the companies, they dilute traditional perimeter, and it's impossible to understand whether the employee is inside, outside, or anywhere else. So the company also faces those challenges. And IoT, Internet of Things, it influences your industry. For example, in Cisco, the Internet of Things, do you see that there is a high demand for it and there is a need for it, or maybe it's a remote future we're speaking about? Yes, of course, there is. And it does put its own footprint on our own challenges. First of all, they're related to the fact that always when we have some new technology arising, as a rule, this technology follows the principle first functionality and then security. And in this case, well, that's where all the problems of the Internet of Things are coming from. So explosive growth, a lot of sensors, and big data processing technology has allowed us to install sensors everywhere. That's why it's called Internet of Things. And this has led us to the situation that everybody manufactures sensors. And last thing people think about is information security. And there's a big layer of attacks and threats related to a big unprotected field to which companies have to pay attention, and it will cost them colossal money. Andrei, can you provide a consulting? Which are the threats? What are the threats? Because well, people come to you with problems and not with the questions on how to develop information security, but people come with problems to you. Which answers do you see to those new threats, or maybe new priorities which your colleagues have not expressed yet? Thank you very much for your question. Honestly speaking, what is so good about PHDays platform? It's so good because you cannot just talk about problems, but you can see what really happens from the point of view of hackers, and you can see the level of readiness and those attacks which could possibly threaten these new smart infrastructures in any company, including companies in the energy sector. For example, everybody have been able to see and everybody heard about example of a 10th grade student which have broken the substation to our stand. 10th year student, 10th grade students with engineering software, he brought the power plant substation. It is obvious that any infrastructure can be subject to a big number of threats, and the level of integration of various historically closed companies. And during our section we have representatives of clients from historically closed sectors of industry. So can you imagine a situation 5 years ago that representative of company which distributes electrical energy on the grid, they would speak openly about connecting to the internet publicly, publicity and openness? Well, we couldn't imagine that back then, but right now everything is available, everything becomes transparent and public. Everything can be broken. Web technologies penetrate into every house, every office, every pocket of every human being, because everybody have mobile phones, and you cooperate with big number of companies, suppliers, through some mobile phones and mobile technologies. And it's clear that number of threats and complexity of those threats for the infrastructure is constantly growing factor. And what is another problem? The problem is that there are two realities we live in. One reality is a reality where our clients live, and there's another reality in which criminals live. And the problem is, like 10 years ago and like 5 years ago and today, these two realities are not aligned one with another. Yes, we will speak about that. Thank you for specifying the topic. Right now I would like to build a bridge about this 10th grade student who broke the substation. It's an acute question of various parallel generations. In the beginning of this week, together with my colleagues, while we had a conference on blockchain, maybe some of you have been present, Vitaly Buterin has came, the creator. And it was surprising, there was a comment from my colleague Arnautov. People in suits 250 people in suits are sitting and listen to 18-year-old boy who tells them what's going to be their future. And not many people understand what's going to be this future, what it's going to be. But they are catching every his word. They're asking questions, and sometimes they catch the answers because the speed of thinking is much faster than they are. And this cognitive dissonance that I've had, that in principle the future already here with us. And we are back to the future, what really happens. So that part of our discussion is to show that standard methods, standard challenges are available, but the question is, how can we look at the new situations when closed company starts working not only B2B but also starts working in B2C, something like front to back operations. So the company also is thinking about providing services to specific personal clients. What's happening in the financial industry, we're pushing banks, and big help is provided by Sberbank, who moved in this direction, VTB, that every employee should think about how he serves the client. An example of Boeing, every employee, by assembling the airplane, understands that every error can be worth of life. So from one side, there are different generations of people. And service, your service today, and I will go back to vendors. Who is the aim of your services? To equip new talented 10th graders with the potential opportunity of development of technologies and to create additional threats, or this knowledge should be taken away and protected. You as vendors, what you do in this situation, whether you shake the boat, and the more it's shaking, the more business is for you. So what is your position, your personal position, what really happens on the market? So Andrei, can you finish this idea, and then we'll go to the place of information security in the company, and what are the main functions and how we can get budget. And before that, can you tell us how can we deal with this new generation? Well, it's a very interesting question. Honestly speaking, we don't want to shake the boat due to the fact that those who want to try to apply their efforts, well, there's a big number of people who want to check their own professional skills, who want to break into something. Those people, there's a lot of them in the market. And very often when I'm in the meetings, I'm being asked a question, whether it's true that companies which are involved in information security, they are shaking this boat, make it sing. But during the last meeting with the banking industry representatives, I asked them a return question. Is it true that banks develop cyber criminality in the country so that more people would come to them for credits and something else? So we don't have to shake the boat. We see more and more trespassers and criminals, and tool sets that we see in the market. We see more and more of those tool sets. They become more simple, more convenient, and right now any school kid can make an attempt of at least do something with your infrastructure, do something awful with it. And in most of the cases, it tells us about services which are provided. The positive technologies, as a company, we don't just sell solutions, security solutions, but also we provide a lot of additional services. And in most of the cases, when we provide reports after our pen tests, in these reports we have information about simplest methods of hacking the client's infrastructure. So in this globally opened world, global internet, global involvement of systems in the internet, today, if you want to break the infrastructure, you don't have to have super knowledge in this area. So there's a lot of people who wants to do that. Okay, next one. So don't shake the boat. I'm coming back to this question. Aren't you shaking the boat? Because we have a lot of comments. Well, we don't have to shake the boat. None of the vendors shouldn't do that. Due to many reasons, economical reasons and other reasons, but it's enough to say that times of single wolves are passing. They are disappearing from the market, and the world of cyber crime becomes industrial, and de facto it is an industry. We see big money rotating there. We see professional teams working them, much more professional than the other sides who are on the defensive side, who defend the public services or the clients. People earn very big money, and big money are invested in this industry. You shouldn't think that criminals are idiots and they don't have finances. Well, they also have a lot of smart guys who have unlimited financial resources. So there is no need to shake the boat. The current situation is such that we are basically facing well-armed, smart enemy, an adversary who has a lot of resources to fight against us. So, but who are those we are equipping? Those 10 great kids, or we're teaching ourselves how to resist those 10-year kids? Because we are those guys in the suits, and those 10 graders, you've been speaking about them. So your product, it's aimed, who are the clients of your product? Well, our products are aimed at end clients, mostly corporate industrial markets. We provide services and products for those who are on the defensive side. And from this point of view, speaking about generations, I would like to say something else. Very often, even when you visit some of your friends and see those kids with iPads, iPhones, computers, who, when they're 4 or 5 years old, instead of studying talking, they start programming something, and they learn programming literature. You feel fearful, because if 10 years ago average age of a hacker was 25, 30 years, right now we will speak very soon about teenage hackers who will horrify big industrial organizations. Well, right now I'm switching to a small blitz commenting, and I would like to once again specify. From the side of Cisco and Microsoft, do you have system of coordinates where you understand who are those future users and clients? If you will speak about bank strategies, because it's much closer to this bear bank, speaking about the strategy, they've done segmentation of the clients in every segment. Well, challenges are understandable and difficulties are understandable, but the question, can you tell us that you have something like that? How do you distribute your client database? Which tools do you use, and what is your emphasis? So I would like to give floor to Andrei Ivanov. So can you briefly tell us about that? And I will, push you, because we have a lot of questions to answer. Well, I've been thinking and I've been trying to understand who are our clients. Well, these are not hackers, definitely. Corporate clients, definitely, and consumers. That's why from this point of view, how can we segment the clients? We understand, we know how to do it, and we understand everything. But from the point of view of threats that we see, we have listed all of them. Nothing can be done with it. Well, we just have to consider it while developing new products, because on one side we do have hacker industry which grew up in recent years, but if you will look from another side, what do we have? We have approaches to security while developing new products, and especially for small and medium companies, they don't have good approaches. The level of administration sometimes should be improved, and user actions, especially those stores when they store passwords on papers, well, we still do have those problems, and it simplifies the work of hackers. So, can you give a comment, and then we will move to the next topic. Well, we as a company, we make products for those who are on defensive side, corporate networks, people who work with analytics, and mostly these are people who work in IT or information security departments. And what is interesting about it, we see a certain trend from defensive instruments, we move to working with monitoring and reaction instruments. So more and more we see the shift from direct doing something. So my colleagues will confirm to that. So in this part, what we have faced in the financial industry, I will comment as a representatives of a client. educational part is very important. You have to teach your employees, because in some banks we've done simple training programs in information security what shouldn't be done, and then we've seen a new generation between those 10th graders and other guys and clerks who don't even understand that simple home things cannot be done at work. The second thing, we have a feeling that this boom of fintech, financial technologies, which ate a big amount of business from the banks, just because banks are overregulated systems, and very often they are not fast reacting to movements in the market. And today, up to 50 to 60% of transactions are not in the bank but in fintech companies. I have a feeling that, speaking about information security, very soon, next to Cisco and Microsoft and other companies, we'll see a big number of small companies that will provide very clear means of protection from simplest problems or provide consulting on how to navigate in the modern world. So, from my point of view, the question of navigation of what is to be done and how, well, in the banks they have a concept of innovation lab, or in a central bank they have a department, a fintech department. So I have a feeling that they will create separate labs that will tell people, and how can you swim in this ocean, which fish is living there, and what else will happen there. Also, personally, I faced very serious hacks in those organizations I've been working for, and as a CIO, I had to react immediately to those hacks. I had to use information security and forensic people for clearing the situation. And honestly speaking, to my point of view, only large, serious organizations can allow themselves to have special forensic services to balance with those groups which exist in the world today. And forensic people have been bringing to me not only problematic things in specific organizations, but they also been showing me passwords of clients of that bank line our bank was working with. It's not my problem, but it's a client's problem. And then afterwards, if information is leaking and money are being transferred, clients are coming to the bank. So globally, we do see openness of data, integration. The future came here today. Well, we have connected the sound. And what about the global vision? We wanted to invite another speaker, but he didn't come. But speaking about key threats today, the main thing that we see new business models arising, and in many industries, as we see today, we see models, either if it was B2B, then as service provisioning, it becomes B2C. Closed organizations should think on how the client looks at my business processes and on my services, and how this client will behave and how he will react to sustainability of my system. Also, my data on the other side. Banks were always B2C services, retail crediting. Right now, this sector was lost from the point of view of retail crediting in the part of products. So banks are moving to platforms. So that's why we see a big tectonic shift, which creates big number of objectives for vendors. And right now we'd like to go to the second part. If we build information security in a company, and we do understand as a business that we should react to that, and it's not only a question of prevention, it's a question of culture, it's a question of education, we should ask ourselves, where's the place of information security, and which roles we should keep inside of our company, irrespectively to industry. Should it be a separate department, single class in a single cluster with technology, or maybe this should be a client service like in IT, and IT became a utility today, and most of us are trying, like with electricity in previous years, it didn't become something, it wasn't something important, and it just became like electrician today, and IT today becomes a purely utility commodity which can be purchased, and it's competitive product. Due to this, I have a question. Information security, is it a structure of business processes, or we can also buy it as a service, and we deliver our main assets for storage, we transfer them to the external company to manage them. In addition to that, possibly there could be some solution between these two directions. Also, I have a question on how can we budget money for the information security, how much it costs. My experience shows me that before you've hit a problem, it's difficult to prove to the shareholders that something happened. In our case, in one of the banks, we have delivered to the board meeting a bag of condoms in order to get to their hearts, to their brains, and tell them, well, you use condoms, so please give us to provide some prevention means for our bank to prevent it. So where the innovative security it should be in a company, first of all, I would like to address it to our clients and experts. The second question, how can you receive financing? How can you attract financing? Because it's so intangible. Because if today we say that education should be a separate one, how can you explain on how much more money you need to survive to the next Monday? Or how do you plan your strategies for the future? I will have two other questions, but afterwards. So, dear colleagues, who's ready to continue? Welcome. Well, the first question. What is the place of information security in the company? I'm not going to argue. If you want to be good, well defended, you should be smarter. Your information security expert should be the best. I don't believe that any company could allow themselves to hire highly qualified experts in all directions of information security you need to cover. It's impossible. And even if you will collect those people and if you will hold them inside of the company, they will lose their competency because they see only their own infrastructure compared to operator of a big regional security operational center who sees trends, who sees what happens with other clients in other companies in other markets. That's why all this leads us to the situation that I see a future model of information security as some kind of outsourced client service which might be inside of the company, and some external services like security operational centers, incident studies, pen testing. And inside of the company you should keep only those people who, in case if it's a business requirement, for confidentiality, for example, who are involved in direct setting of security software or management, or you should move it to the next level. Like monitoring should be present in the company, recommendations on removing threats should be outside of the company, but removal and fighting against, well, in every direction, in every case, it should be different. Sometimes it's external and firewall team, sometimes it's your own employees. What about you? How you do it, and do you plan any changes for the next year? And what are the new roles that you will introduce into your company? Speaking about data sector that Sergey was speaking about, we do know that all key agencies like Gartner, Forrester, they speak about new positions arising in the market, data scientists, analytics, other officers. Which roles you will introduce in your company in this area in information security? Well, I can tell you that we are moving in the direction of removing monitoring outside of the company. About new roles, perhaps these are data security administrator. In some sense, it's an absolutely new role. That's it. And a question, we should be more specific about your position, what you do internally. Who is not reacting to the external challenges and who works inside with the business? Who are those people who speak and decide and who determine on how to work with information, how to work with technologies? Who are those people? Who is responsible for that? Not the question of monitoring and working with external agencies on how to work internally and change the internal culture. Let's make a step back and speak about young generation. I will make a brief example. A 19-year-old boy started working for us for the plumber position. In 1 month he broke our server. Because they are like that by their, well, it has led us to a new awareness program. We had to improve the awareness of our employees in every place, in every position. Therefore, Well, it have told us that information security issues should be covered everywhere. We started looking for the one who should manage it, and we understood that this is a risk management situation. And when I need to defend something, protect something, I go to my top management together with somebody from risk management department. So you have another combination. Information security is combined with risk department, and after risk assessment you come to understanding where the money should be invested in information security. In your case, risk and information security is a single center of competencies, not a single center of competencies, but cooperating entities. Sergey, I would like to give floor to you. You have a wonderful opportunity. You and Andrei can answer. How do you build it right now? Relations between service, and how do you divide you as a client of information security, or you are a partner, and how do you see how this will be developing in the future? First of all, from B2B moving into B2C segment, and you will have new challenges related with data storage and working with mass segment.
To be frank, it's very difficult to answer this question. Will you please hold your microphone closer? It's pretty difficult to answer. I'll try to discuss this topic, to dwell upon it. As far as IT outsourcing is concerned, in the next decade it will not be possible, in my opinion. Mainly because of the financial activities of those organizations that would hate to lose their reputation, information, and so forth. Any third party, if he's in charge of a system administration, he would be able to download data. Parsing this data is a different story. If you outsource case investigation, it will be an even deeper drilling down experience in any situation. IT security outsourcing, I don't find it possible. What Positive is offering, maybe something regarding remote vulnerability checks. Well, there may be such services in working with information or devices or landscapes responsible for processing data. I don't think that is going to be viable in the near term. As far as more global challenges are concerned, what major companies are interested in? Money, revenues in the first place. Who is responsible for posting proceeds? Financial guys. We all understand that some computers need to be protected. Just simple example. Currently, there are online transactions. They're being implemented in ERP systems. Some people come with their keys, and those transaction data go to banks as operating data. However, those data are integrated with ERP systems in which users don't have access to other tenant systems with their keys and so forth. They don't have access to their financial data. If they have, it may undermine financial security. Well, I think that in the first place we should think about internal risks, but they are to be dealt with internally within companies. We can discuss it, however, we're in no position to resolve all the challenges. And those services in charge of that, they depend upon companies. Financial security units, they are responsible for economic security. There come to IT departments people who help financial security guys, showing them who is responsible for what, working in which positions, their respective rights, and so forth. I don't think there should be any dedicated business units or dedicated personnel. All those decisions are based on the reality of each individual organization, where people feed in information. There are tasks for dedicated IT personnel. Immediately, those IT guys start supplying information to security people and HR people. For example, somebody is being fired. Let's make sure that he or she does not take a computer data away. Do you introduce any data for for your community to follow from the perspective of IT security? I think Andrei is going to comment on that. Each company has all the documents specifying which should not be done by employees. Before you do it, think twice. Look at this guy. There is a lawsuit against him or her. Nevertheless, their vested interests and so forth. I'll rephrase my question. Why do we have, while storing data, to be afraid of posting data on the network? German Graf mentioned moving some of the data to the cloud. Now, social networking. Some people claim that they are not present in social media. Nevertheless, their friends may be posting information about them. Why do you care about those data? Why aren't you ready to move most of the data to the cloud, public cloud? How about relations with your partners, customers, contractors? What are the goals of your security service, information security service? Well, I suggest that we get back to the question that was not discussed. There are two main areas of business: production and administration. Currently, we are promoting the administration domain. Just imagine what's going to happen should anybody get access to the control system of a pumping station, for example, in downtown Moscow. Can I really post such a system, such a unit's data in a public cloud? Be an expert. I can imagine a classical situation. Last year, we heard about bad guys doing social engineering to steal money from ATMs or to commit remittances or fund transfers. There can be planned operations. I understand that such operations are possible in your industry. However, there are still data that can be moved to the cloud, or we shouldn't spend money on it. The data about Moscovites, such as where they complete payments, they have been moved to the cloud. However, we don't invest money in maintaining the system. Speaking about our contractors, should anything happen, within 24 hours they can fall back. But there are requirements to other data which will never ever be moved to any cloud. Let's get back to IT security. We have been discussing how we should organize roles in the information security domain, and I would like to welcome here Denis Guchigov from FSK ES. I'd like to pass it over to you. I have a short question to you. But before this, I'd like to pass it back to Andrei. How should interaction with your partners be organized? Well, I'm in no position to say that. I can just describe what we have. In the past 3 years, we have been actively changing the system of our IT and information security management. When our team was changed, the decision was made to make IT substitute to our information security director, and currently this department is in charge of everything that may relate to IT. we distinguish between the two things, our bigger IT and our information security. But since we are subordinate to our general director, there are no conflicts. There is just one person in charge of everything. And there are two substitutes. There are only three services responsible for IT information security, the IT proper, while for the rest of our folks, well, they just don't understand everything. The CEO only understands that he or she may have an iPad, a desktop. When IT guys come to say that they want or need anything, they have to explain things in his language to him. There is a question. Don't forget, you only have 30 seconds. My question goes to the first speaker. If my understanding is correct, your information security model is based on the following. Your information security processes are broader than just protecting information. There are processes such as change management or data access control, access to different business systems. Are you planning to outsource those functions to Gazprom Media? Of course not. Well, what I've been speaking about, our information security, is becoming the customer, not only interacting with third parties, but also internal units. Some things we outsource, such as monitoring and so forth. However, we keep control with our IT. In my specific case, IT security is a kind of aggregator between our IT, information security. Should there be an incident, should there be any social engineering experience, there is financial transaction. When do you say we have several contractors, 25 shareholders, we're not responsible for this particular part? Fortunately, I belong to the second part, to the second group, those who have never ever experienced that. My responsibility is about completing an investigation and applying proper measures. Is there anybody in this room whose company, having been affected by a threat, drastically changed its IT service and IT security service structure? If yes, will you please share your experience with us? Andrei, can you comment on, we have discussed the role of security. I would like now Denis Uchugov to dwell upon this topic. In your opinion, what would be the right approach to the role of the information security service in the context of IT being utility? There are banks that don't have any IT service, having outsourced all of their IT functions. In your opinion, how should we do it now, keeping in mind that we still don't understand our future threats? Will it be better to put in place an internal team, or will it be even better to rely upon a contractor? I suggest that in the first place we put in place a better definition of IT. There is corporate IT and there is also public service. In the latter case, it's fully based on a private network connected to some fiber optical line, which network is fully protected and isolated because of IT security considerations. keeping in mind our vast geography and climate. We all know about blackout cases and so forth. We have to care about people's lives. Do you remember the Domodedovo case? As far as the IT model within an organization is concerned, we're speaking about migration from a packet-based method, which envisages patching, finding vulnerabilities, and so forth, to a real-time model, in which all the initiatives related to information security are based on Security Operations Center, monitoring everything in real time, in which case everything is proactive. In this case, on the business side, it's worthwhile having an expert team which is capable of acting as customer, as well as function requiring significant competence, which can be outsourced to a contractor, because in turn it's inefficient and expensive having such an in-house team. Now we proceed to document support, document exchange support, which can be provided by Accenture, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and like companies. And here, business consulting service providers. Is my understanding correct that the topic of dedicated customer service is about having a situational center, which is not just a service desk, but is in fact traffic control center, a smart center or intelligence center, and based on how such a structure is arranged in a company, all the other services will be shaped. You're absolutely right. Yes, it is about having a situational center which is agile enough to react to all the information security accidents. In an ordinary monitoring system, it can be reflected in an availability of a database or whatever. And it will take a lot of time to investigate and so forth. Having a situational center or a security operations center allows reacting instantaneously to each and every situation that may affect security. Some time ago I visited the situational center of the Central Bank of Russia, and I was really surprised by how many interactive, proactive actions they can take. They are always aware of new threats, new potential dangers, and it's continuous work. They continuously train their employees. In your case, how do you make sure that you're proactive enough? You have to interact proactively with international companies and so forth. It's always very difficult to achieve that. How should this be done in a proper way? Well, it can be formalized through rules and regulations to be followed by such a situational center, and all the employees should be trained in that. And even if you make your personnel wake up at 2 in the morning, he or she will know what to do. Speaking about this, well, in our turbulent days, is it the main thing to be able to escalate a problem and exchange information instantaneously, to be able to react in an agile manner? Is my understanding correct that this would be your main piece of advice? Yes, we are living in an increasingly changing world currently. Speaking about the Central Bank of Russia, one point, they are very much ahead of the rest of the market. Their systems are based on mainframe products. Their operating system envisages each and every transaction to be signed. Unfortunately, I don't have time enough to drill down. They are leading the way in platform commoditization, in departing from mainframe type of hardware to more advanced hardware. In our session, we discussed, in the beginning of our conversation, we discussed open data, where very many companies which previously were pretty closed are moving from B2B to B2C. And the main question here is opening data. Well, the situational center of your company, your information security approach, does it envisage the model looking at future users with their future needs to be able to tackle future information security challenges? You have mentioned your situational center. How about processes? Our business model does not envisage any working with customers directly. We have been in the past decade purely infrastructure company. Thank you very much. My next question is about getting proper budgets to provide proper information security. It's one of the biggest challenges. We all remember the Y2K problem. Nobody could understand the scale and scope of that problem. Companies would just distribute their dedicated personnel across the world. Others engaged in structure reorganization. How can we streamline our budgets without increasing them? I think that we should discuss systems of coordinates that are being dealt with by companies such as McKinsey or Accenture. How about intuitive behavior of our future employees? How is it done by Microsoft or Cisco? What do you offer to your customers not to waste money? Andrei, do you have such a coordinate systems? Or you are just following your customers' needs? Well, while following the customer's needs, you can do many other things. We hear a lot about the missions of information security within a company, which brings me back to some 5 to 7 years ago, when we were discussing the role of IT within a company. Many IT departments were restructuring them. Then we would say that IT should work for business units instead of replacing them. I think that currently it's not always possible today. If you are not a public company, money is the most important thing to you. When IT people, while relying upon regulations, infringe or delay processes, well, of course, in such situations, they will be taken negatively by business units. Therefore, today the task of any IT department is to prove to the rest of business that they are important. Being security platform, we are telling our customers today what can be achieved with our products and platforms to optimize information security budgets. On the other hand, it's important to prove to the management why IT is important. Ruslan, you work while working with Bridbank and dealing with your colleagues. I would always ask them, what's the vision of the future within Cisco? I know that you have your R&D department. Are you using your navigation system while dealing with your customers. Do you really discuss what you should offer to your customers, keeping in mind their future vision? Currently, we're speaking about pure risk management. Most of the companies consider information security as a single cluster. From some other companies, we heard that they have to undertake risk management because of the regulation and legislation. How do you work with your customers to make sure that you speak the same language while looking for the best solution? In the first place, I should say that Cisco is a forward-looking company. We have a futurologist, Dave Evans. He's a very well-known individual. As my colleague from Microsoft rightfully mentioned, companies try not to just follow the market. Those who are followers normally lose. Those companies that shape the market survive. With this in mind, we always try to shape the market, to set standards. We follow trends. We look at new threats. We always look at new market niches, trying to understand what's important for customers today. You can come up with white box, with red LEDs, and you can price it at $1 million US, but nobody is going to buy it if you are not looking at your customers' problems. I have to attack you. Why none of you mentions business cases? You are working in the industry, offering IT directors and marketing managers solutions that will help them to deal with their business tasks. I call that survivor's error. I'll explain myself. You all understand what it means. Survivor's error. I don't. During World War II in the USA, there were huge losses among B-17 pilots, and the Air Force command invited mathematicians to try to explain the reasons for such losses. And those mathematicians drew the attention of the Department of Defense to something that had been neglected by the other commanders. They suggested to look, when the survivors would come, they would pay attention to those areas of aircraft bodies where there were no bullet holes, instead of those where there were such bullet holes. Very often we consider business cases that may not be relevant to us. This is a very interesting story. Yes, I agree that we should reinforce our strong points instead of looking at our weaknesses. Yes, that's exactly what we're doing. We try to rely upon our best practices. Just rely upon business cases, in my opinion, it's not 100% correct. I don't think that what's helpful and instrumental to your competition may be instrumental to you. Thank you. My next question goes to Andrei Novikov. Some time ago, IT strategies transformed into project portfolios in companies. In the past decade, we all concluded that IT would be considered as project portfolio. Since we have a very big portfolio of important solutions, How do you work with your customers? Do you try to articulate strategy in the first place, or being a service company, you just offer goods or products? Please answer my question, and then I'll get back to the other colleagues, and we will discuss where we should look for money to make sure that we are well protected against simple attacks. Thank you for this question. Keeping in mind the Russian roots of our company and taking into account that in Russia, unlike in many other countries, taking into account that our core competencies and expertise are in Russia, we engage in many projects starting from day zero, which means that we are part of the process of licensing and strategy development. We spend a lot of time and pay a lot of attention to it, although we always take into account your needs and your plans for the next 4 to 5 years. My next question goes to you. Information security. Is it a proper name? Do we really protect information? Do we protect data? Or do we protect what? Probably the information security term is obsolete. Maybe we should look for a more accurate definition. Well, I like the information security as a service definition, because gradually information security is being transformed into an ordinary information security service. If previously, while discussing a company, we would mean using dispersed security means unable of exchanging data, context information, currently we are moving towards information security platforms. In the year 2000, while we were having a lot of dispersed ERP and information security systems, at a certain point in time, we focused on a platform approach capable of managing comprehensive solutions, and currently information security is also being moved to a platform comprising a lot of information security modules that are expected to exchange contexts. And information security platforms of the future should be adapted to new business tasks, and it should be achieved automatically with minimal human intervention. My next question goes to you, Dennis. Proceeding from your experience, while planning for information security, we can consider different threats. How do you distinguish between top priority measures and low priority measures? And how much is it to put such security system in place on an annual basis? There is business and there are services. The business is core business. To obtain resources from business units, one has to speak with business people in the same language. And therefore, we should measure information security risks in dollar terms, and there are consultants for that who are capable to estimate them. And you cannot just estimate them, you can insure against them. There is a company that suggests cyber risk insurance to underwriters. There are business critical service clouds which can be insured. There are DOS attack risks that can also be insured against. All those risks can be measured in dollar terms very easily. It's pretty mature industry, and there are plenty of case studies allowing to engage in such estimation to calculate everything in dollar terms. And there are guys working here in Russia. They are not afraid of anything. We should speak with business people in the same language. Everything can be measured in dollars. And it's based on that we can formulate our budgets. Thank you for your comment. My summarizing question. In IT, there are notions such as business customers, business technologists, and analysts. The main objective is to help business units to plan for their future house design. In information security today, there seems to be a gap between understanding of business goals and objectives, and the objectives of business protection against potential information risks. Which roles are a must prerequisite prior to setting tasks to third-party evaluators such as PricewaterhouseCoopers and so forth? Of course, there should be industry analysts, other experts, financial people capable of estimating everything in dollar terms. Only after that can we come up with terms of reference or feasibility study. The more transparent the IT service is, the more will you be able to show in terms of what you're spending money on. Look at maintenance and repair, for example. Who is the consumer of this service? If you can articulate this budget item properly, you stand high chances of obtaining money. You first estimate, measure your maintenance and repair tax, and then you have your financier enlisted. How often do you engage in the self-assessment or audit exercise? Do you do that on a quarterly basis, given that you're undergoing changes continuously? There is an integral solution for a challenge. There may be hidden risks, there may be technology-related risks. What would you advise to the others in terms of such self-assessment to assess technologies or processes? It's a continuous process like ERP introduction. External and internal environments and landscapes change, technologies change. Currently we're not speaking about any discrete or packet-based approach. What do you think about third-party help? The help on the part of experts. How do you outsource those tasks? In terms of your strategies, we should also keep in mind that for my bosses, I have vested interests. I can be interested in growing my authority, or my domain of responsibility, or my department headcount, or my equipment infrastructure, or replacing some equipment. I'm in no position to fully rely upon my internal processes. It's a matter of affiliation. I will try to make it before 3 p.m. Roman, what would be your advice? How should information security budget be formulated, given that the customer's information service is pretty big? How do you distinguish between your budget scenarios, optimal, your pessimistic, optimistic, and interim scenario. I don't think that I have anything to add to the previous speakers. We should proceed from risk, and there are two key approaches to budget formulation. The first place, we have to demonstrate potential risks and their outcomes, and there are also rules and regulations. We mentioned before that IT would be transforming into utility. In the financial industry, I can say how big a bank's budget should be given all those IT requirements. In your opinion, an information security budget, is it really dependent upon the size of a company, and can it be forecasted? No, and I'll explain why. In any major enterprise, an IT and information security budget is incomparable with business budget. We have challenges, but it's not granted that we will be given money to cover those gaps. Why aren't we in a position to say how big the correlation between the business budget and the IT budget is? Well, firstly, because we are at different stages. In some companies, people are just engaging in dealing with that. In other cases, it's not the case. Andrei, can you introduce your comments? You as professional in this industry, what would be your recommendation regarding business formulation? I can only voice my experience. How we have been introducing our IT from the zero ground. Since according to legislation, the risks should be up to 30,000 rubles per company for any audit, the management said. We're not interested in that. We are ready to pay fines. When we read the regulation attentively, we understood that the fine would be meager, between 30 and 500,000 rubles. But there is a very important detail. The responsibility of our top managers would be significant. They would be deprived of their authority for a period of up to 900 days. When our big boss heard about that, he said, guys, why haven't we complied with the regulation? Yes, that's a non-standard approach. I have to believe, I have to trust my IT expert, otherwise the outcome may be terrifying. Should our colleagues come and see that some things don't work in our company? There is Federal Law 152. Should it not be observed? What will be the outcomes? The investigation committee has the right to confiscate our infrastructure equipment. Moreover, there may be lawsuit. Vladimir, as one of your customers, I'd like to ask, when will you come up with your situational center? Why haven't you completed it so far? Currently, we have a situational center. It's based on an ArcSight solution, and it receives data from all the security systems deployed in our company. We have correlation system. The system is self-learning, and we're planning to move our DLP system and our other systems to the preventive mode. They'll be blocking threats before they work out. Currently, we're training our systems. In terms of information security, we decided to automate our processes as much as possible, define all the rules, what is allowed and what is not. If anything is not allowed, the system will automatically block it. Should there be an accident, we'll be immediately notified by the system, and by that time everything would have been blocked. It's like with encryption people who start encrypting data on on the company's computers. You have 1 Bitcoin, but you have to pay 10 for your data to be decrypted.
When we got this virus, because we'd already had a Pulveronis and InfoWatch DLP solution implemented. As soon as the encoder started to encode data, they were immediately quarantined. The AV didn't see them, they hadn't known anything about that, but just a mass contact with data, and it was interpreted as an incident, and the files were returned to the working state before they were encrypted. You can spend a lot of time discussing that an analytics center has to be organized. Experts can be got from the market, and then it will be day-to-day work of your own analysts to tune the system. That's my point of view. So the question for this year, in practical terms, first Andrei, and then Roman I wanted to ask him as well. In the banking industry, as soon as the need arrives, suppliers bring the cost of services up. I remember when we were implementing System X in 2000, it was $5,000 per bank, the license. Now it's $1 million. Of course, the system has changed, but not that much. So the question is, do you feel that our respected vendors leverage this situation by hiking up prices for the services while you need to cut costs? So your feeling, do you think that the colleagues, vendors, are using the opportunity of the moment, or it's about reasonable dialogue? Well, because we are part of a large holding company, and none of the vendors has been able to say that they won't be able to give us a discount that will bring us back to the budget. Well, nobody wants to fight with a large company because you can automatically drop out. So in this sense, it's easier for us. Roman, do you support this position? You have a special opinion. More than that, I believe that the cost is going down even. Over the past few years, a large expensive system appeared. IDM, DLP, CM, the threshold of entry into which used to be very expensive. Now there are lots of solutions that allow you using these problems. And also when the exchange rate was jumping, I think vendors managed to accommodate. Okay, got it. Thank you very much, colleagues. We're now moving to the final part of our session. And if you have any comments from the floor, we'll be thankful. If you have to think about your comments for some time, let me just remind you. The ecosystem changed in every line of business. Energy, finance. Well, they see changes almost every week. So the key questions about how to work with data, and the next question, who are going to be our future customers? And in this situation, I would like to run a short YouTube video from one of the very well-known Google futurologists to see how technology and other innovations will affect our users and ourselves. After that, I will first pass the floor to each of the esteemed experts for about a minute each, so that they could draw the results of this discussion, what needs to be paid attention to in the near future. So I'm hoping that the sound will work. Just a small technical pause. Let me help myself. Well, a lot of people will become cyborgs. So that's about, you're watching the Top 5 channel. We're living in the most exciting time in the life of the humanity. At least that's the viewpoint of Ray Kurzweil, the best-known futurologist all over the world. He's the author of a lot of books and has 20 Doctor Emeritus degrees. He's also an inventor of many technologies, starting from the first ACCD scanner uh, and all the way to a machine for the blind. He's now technical director of Google, where he works on the artificial intelligence. He recently came up with the next portion of his predictions, and a lot of people are skeptical about that. So let me present you the technology forecasts for the next 100 years from the most authoritative futurologists of the planet. But first, let me draw your attention to the channels with different technologies. I'm sorry, it's YouTube. 2019, cables and wires for the periphery and devices will go into the past. Mobile computers will be embedded to everything, walls and clothes. Same goes for pictures and videos. And the size of lenses will go down to the pin size. Bionic ear and other neuroimplantants will also exist, but in limited numbers. People with damaged spine will be able to walk using computers, receiving commands. 2020, Internet access will be available from 85% of the territory of the globe. It will be almost absolutely wireless and very cheap. 2022, in the US and Europe, laws will be enacted to regulate relationships between humans and robots. 2024, elements of AI will become mandatory in cars. People will be banned to drive cars not equipped with computer assistants. 2025, wearable electronics will start to be replaced by implanted ones. We'll start to be effectively fighting aging processes, prolonging our lives using nanorobes and other technologies. 2028, alternative energy will become so cheap and ubiquitous that will meet all the combined energy needs of the humanity. 2029, artificial intelligence will not only be able to fully pass the Turing test, but will be able to do it more than any human counterparts. So a computer will be orders of magnitude more powerful than human mind. 2030, renaissance of nano industry, which will bring about the cheapening of all products. 2031, 3D printers to print human organs will be built in all the whole term of human being will be rethought. Computer implants will appear for direct connection to the brain and separate neuron groups. They will improve human ability, response time, and reduce the learning time. 2032, nanorobots will perform a detailed scanning of the human brain in order to understand the details of its work. 2033, almost all cars will become self-controllable. Agriculture and transport will be fully automated. 2034, the first contacts of the human with artificial intelligence. Contact lenses or virtual lenses, virtual VR lenses can be used to common movement for the rights of machines will start. 2036, using the approach to biology as programming, the humankind will first become able to program human body for new functions. 2042. New sub-regions will be founded in brain with some algorithms that will code the development of these regions will be deciphered. 2038, the appearance of robotized people, transhuman technologies. They will be supplied with artificial intelligence and implants. 2039, nanomachines will be implanted right into the brain, providing arbitrary input and output. This will bring about the emergence of fully immersive VR without any equipment. 2041, the top throughput of the internet will start 500 million times as large as today, and search systems will be embedded everywhere, and you'll be able to send requests to them even through the force of your thought. 2042. The complete implementation of deathlessness through nanorobots, then human body will be able to take any shape because of the large number of nano robots. Internal body parts will be replaced by artificial parts. 2044, non-bionic intellect will become billions of times more capable than human mind. The humankind will cover the entire universe, and a singularity will arrive. At this point in time, it will be so difficult for us to grasp what's going to happen that. Well, thank you. The main task of this video was to bring it across that our users do change. We haven't discussed the questions related to AI or robots. AI in the financial industry is quite a hot topic, and perhaps information security will also address that. Wrapping this session up, we would like to give exactly 1 minute of the time to each of our experts for the key risks, the problems that you want to pay attention to, and to ask you about your recommendations based on your experience. So in the first place, I'd like to start with the esteemed vendors, because you'll probably see the situation in a very integrated manner. First from Microsoft. Andre, a minute of your time. What do you recommend? What conclusions? What to pay attention at? Yeah, thank you. In actual fact, it's quite difficult to get back to realities after such a video, but nevertheless, I'll try. In terms of what your attention should be paid to, we have been talking about the threats that new technology will bring about, but somehow we didn't mention enough the opportunities that these technologies offer. We shouldn't fear that. We should not only be frightened about what's happening, but also to understand what's happening. The cloud does not only dilute the perimeter, but also provides opportunities for lots of services, analytics services, for instance, that can be because in a very typical way we just don't have the capability or statistics that exist in the international scale. What has been mentioned more than once, you have to understand that it's exactly protection. That is not really the cornerstone of the game. It's also important, but two other stages, detection and response, appeared, related to our understanding that we need to see that we have already been hacked, and we need to identify in time what has been hacked, and to have a clear plan what to do once some perimeter barrier has been hacked. In this connection, you have to understand that the perimeter has got blurred, and the security perimeter is basically about your account. And the first comment, we need to keep in mind the interest of the business, because a business will never tolerate the restrictions that don't make sense to them. Okay, thank you, Andrei Ivanov. Ruslav Ivanov, Cisco, you're welcome. Well, it's difficult to add what Andrei has said. He covered almost everything, the cloud and all the trends. I just want to add the words of Sun Tzu from, well, perhaps from his best known book. If you don't know either the enemy or yourself, you'll be always losing in the battle. If you know yourself, what you have, what resources you possess, but don't know the enemy, you'll be winning one time, losing the other. If you know both the enemy and your own capability, you will not be losing ever. Vendors try to offer you an opportunity not only to learn about the enemy, but also to understand what you have, what you possess. You don't have to think about us as as companies that only want money from you. We can also help you in terms of experience exchange, in terms of creating such discussion venues just like here. Thank you very much. Ruslan Ivanov from Cisco. Andrei Novikov, I suggest that we draw the line. Denis Hremchukov, may I ask you to have your recommendations for 1 minute for key problems, considering your experience? What our colleagues need to pay attention to. My recommendations are quite universal for high technologies, IT and information security. Please talk with your business customers in business language. Look not for abstract technical perfection in your solutions, but always look for value. If you can show the value, if you can show it in money terms, you'll be always able to sell it to your customer, whether inside the organization or outside, and you're not going to have problems with funding or implementation of the solution that you believe are right. In terms of technology, I see the development of information security as an organization within the company to become a kind of a situation center. If it's a large company, they can afford their own decision center. If the company is not command center, if they're not as big, they can use it as an outsourced resource. Sergey, may I ask you to comment within a minute? Your recommendations from your experience. I fully agree with Dennis, what he said. Let me just add, if this command room, from my experience, if it's about it, we should take a look at it in an integrated way, involving IT and IS. You need to show your business consumers in business terms what opportunities you're offering them. I fully agree with what Dennis said. Take on responsibility, not to fear anything. Just go and show on anything that's available to you. Business wants to hear that, and they want to understand that. In terms of the situation center or the command room, I fully agree with the previous speaker. But it's impossible with certain approaches within the company that need to be practiced by both IT and IS people. A lot is in integration. It may sound simple, quite an old word, integration, but without the exchange of information between all the systems, interdependent system, you can't build a mission control room. Thank you very much. Mawek position is clear. Andrei, I'll then pass the floor to Roman Popov. The minute is yours, and then, well, basically implement or deploy processes rather than solutions involving dashboards for different levels of management. Let them see. It's useful for them so that they could see the state of information security in the company right now. Security systems need to be based on the premise that the hacking has happened or is happening right now, so that they could allow intercepting the initiative at any moment. And thank you. Andrei Novikov, your comment within a minute or less. Because we've already taken 2 minutes of some other people's time. Thank you very much. It's been a very interesting discussion, exciting discussion. I can partly agree with my colleagues in that our future, considering what we've seen in the video, is not going to be cloudless in every sense of this word. Yes, indeed. The world is changing with a tremendous speed. And the data is becoming new oil, so it's a new trend. And I think, we've been talking about AI. I think that security systems will start using AI technologies more and more often, right on board. So the word signatures will soon become a swear word. People will forget about it because the flow, the stream of information that you're getting, targeted at largest companies' infrastructure, are so large that no signatures will help you do anything. And at the end, I'd like to cite Robin Wood regarding his statement that successful organizations should be able to find a balance between bureaucratic processes and the dynamic chaos of interests and relationships, allowing them to stay alive and be innovational oriented. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to give a round of applause to our dear experts. Thank you very much for your participation, and see you at the next meeting.